Title: Year 1 Goal. Chapter 1: The Backyard Dream. Every afternoon after school, 11-year-old Jaden would rush home, drop his backpack at the door, and head straight to the backyard. It wasn't big, and the grass was patchy from years of kicking balls across it. But to Jaden, it was Wembley, Camp Nou, and the Maricarna rolled into one. 2 garden chairs served as goalposts, and his little sister MIA was the self-appointed referee, though her focus often wandered to dandelions and bugs. Jaden had one dream. He wanted to become a professional football player. Not just a player, the kind whose name kids chanted on playgrounds, whose posters hung in bedrooms, and whose goals made entire stadiums erupt. He wasn't in an academy. His family couldn't afford private training. But what Jaden lacked in opportunity, he made up for in passion. Every evening, he'd practice dribbling around cones made of soda bottles, juggling with both feet, and mimicking the moves of his heroes, which he memorized from YouTube videos played on a cracked tablet. His dad, a mechanic working late shifts, would sometimes watch from the window, his tired eyes softening as he saw the boy weaving through invisible defenders. One rainy Thursday, after sliding and falling twice, Jaden sat in the mud, frustrated. "What's the point?" he mumbled, wiping his tears on his soaked sleeve. His dad came out, crouched beside him, and said something Jaden would never forget. "Son, some people are born with talent. Others have to train until their feet bleed. But the ones who make it, they're the ones who never stop, no matter what." That night, Jaden taped a piece of paper to his wall. It read, "I will play in a stadium one day." He stared at it before bed, every night. And every morning, he laced up his worn-out cleats, walked out into the backyard, and trained like he was already there. Chapter 2: The Scout's Shadow. The local school tournament was just 2 weeks away, and Jaden's heart raced every time he thought about it. It wasn't a big event, not one of those fancy youth showcases with agents and cameras. But for Jaden, it was his World Cup. He practiced relentlessly. His coach, Mr. Doreen, was a retired gym teacher who volunteered to run the team. He noticed Jaden's footwork, his hunger to improve, and the way he lifted his teammates even when things went wrong. "You've got something special, kid," a Mr. Doreen told him during one late afternoon session. "But you've got to start playing like you believe it." That stuck with Jaden. Until now, he'd always played with a whisper of doubt inside, like maybe the dream was too big for a boy from a small town, with old shoes and no connections. On the day of the tournament, Jaden tied his cleats 3 times. MEA handed him a tiny lucky charm she made from beads and string. "It's for power," as she said with a grin. The game was tough. Jaden's team was down by 1, and the seconds were slipping away. Then, with a sudden burst of speed, Jaden stole the ball near midfield. He weaved through 2 defenders, danced around the last one, and fired a shot with his left foot, his weaker side. The ball kissed the bottom of the crossbar and fell in. The field erupted. His teammates tackled him to the ground, laughing, yelling. But someone else had noticed. A tall man with a clipboard and sharp eyes stood near the fence. He wasn't clapping, just nodding. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low, Mr. Doreen walked over with the man. "Jaden, this is Coach Alvarez. He scouts for the regional development team. He wants to talk to you." Jaden's jaw dropped. All he could say was, "Me?" Coach Alvarez smiled. "Yes. You've got a fire in you. I'd like to see what happens when we had fuel." That night, Jaden stood in front of his wall again. He didn't just believe it anymore, he felt it in his bones. The stadium didn't seem so far away now. Chapter 3: A Bigger Field. Joining the regional development team was like stepping into a whole new world. Gone were the patchy grass fields and mismatched uniforms. Now Jaden trained on perfectly cut turf, wore a jersey with his name printed on it, and practiced alongside players who had been in academies for years. At first, he felt like an outsider. The drills were faster, the pressure sharper. Some of the other kids gave him looks, the kind that said, "You don't belong here." They didn't know he had trained in a backyard with plastic bottles for cones. They didn't know about rainy nights and taped up shoes. Jaden kept his head down and his focus up. Coach Alvarez was strict but fair. He never praised too easily. "Talent's just a start," he'd often say. "Your choices will decide the rest." During one early morning session, Jaden fumbled a simple pass. One of the other boys, Marco, laughed. "Maybe the Bush League was better for you, huh?" Jaden felt the old doubt creep back. But before it could settle, Coach Alvarez barked, Marco. Run laps." Jaden stays. The next drill began. Jaden dug deep. He moved faster, sharper, controlled. He let the pressure mold him, not break him. Over the next few weeks, something shifted. Players started passing him the ball more. Marco even gave him a nod after Jaden assisted a winning goal. Coach Alvarez finally cracked a smile during one scrimmage and muttered, "That's the fire I saw." But home life wasn't easy. Jaden's dad had to take extra shifts to afford the gear and travel. His mum worried about school slipping. "One injury," as she warned, "and it's all gone." Jaden nodded. He understood the risk. But he also knew what it felt like to score that one goal that changed everything. One evening, after a tough match, Jaden sat alone on the bench, soaked in sweat. His dad walked over and handed him a small envelope. Inside was a printed schedule. Jaden had been invited to the National Youth Trials. He looked up, speechless. His dad just smiled. "Wembley doesn't feel so far now, does it?" Chapter 4: The Trial of Dreams. The National Youth Trials were held in a massive training centre outside the city. It was the kind of place Jaden had only ever seen in photos. Dozens of immaculate pitches, drone cameras overhead, rows of coaches in branded tracksuits. The air smelled of grass, ambition, and nerves. Jaden stood among a sea of talented teenagers, all lean and focused, some with agents whispering in their ears. It was intimidating, no doubt. But as he pulled on his kit, he remembered where he started. The backyard, the old tablet, Mir's lucky charm still tied around his wrist. He belonged here. Not because he had connections or sponsors, but because he earned it, every morning, every fall, every goal. The trials lasted 3 grueling days. Players were assessed for stamina, skill, vision, and mental toughness. Each night, Jaden returned to the hostel room exhausted, every muscle aching. But he studied game footage on his phone and planned how he'd improve the next day. On the second day, during a scrimmage match, he was fouled hard, a tackle from behind. He hit the ground, clutching his ankle. Pain shot up his leg, but he gritted his teeth and stood. Limping, yes, but he finished the game. That night, he iced his foot in silence. A teammate offered him painkillers. He declined. "Don't want to dull the lesson," he said quietly. By the third day, the coaches had narrowed the group. From over 100 boys, only 25 would receive offers to join the elite youth training program. The final game was intense. Jaden played with everything he had: crisp passes, smart positioning, relentless hustle. He didn't score. but he set up 2 goals with perfect timing and unselfish vision. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the head coach gathered the players. One by one, names were called. Jaden waited. Heart pounding. Jaden Cooper. His name rang out like a bell in his chest. He stood, trying to stay calm, but his eyes watered. "Welcome to the program," the coach said with a firm handshake. "You've got a fighter's heart." That night, alone in his bunk, Jaden stared at the ceiling. His ankle throbbed. His muscles screamed. But none of it mattered. The dream was no longer just on his wall. It was real, and it was only just beginning. Chapter 5. The First Jersey. The elite youth program was intense, like nothing Jaden had ever experienced. Players trained twice a day, 6 days a week. The competition wasn't just fierce, it was brutal. Every pass was judged. Every mistake was noted. Nobody was safe. Not even the most talented. But for the first time in his life, Jaden had access to the tools he'd only dreamed of: nutritionists, recovery sessions, data analysts, and top-tier coaching. It was no longer just about kicking a ball. It was science, strategy, and stamina. He had to fight for his place every day. Jaden's roommate, Levi, came from a top academy in London. He was fast, sharp, and confident. At first, Jaden felt overshadowed. But Levi wasn't a rival. He became a friend. They trained together late into the evenings, pushing each other to be better. "You've got grit," Levi said one night after a brutal session. "That's rarer than skill." Still, the pressure was relentless. One afternoon, during a friendly against an international U17 team, Jaden made a poor back pass that led to a goal. The coach benched him for the rest of the match. He sat on the sideline, fists clenched, teeth grinding. Later, Coach Alvarez pulled him aside. "Remember what I told you, Jaden. You're not here because you're perfect. You're here because you're the kind of player who learns fast." Jaden nodded, ashamed but determined. Over the next month, he worked harder than ever, studying positioning, mastering weak foot drills, and improving his decision-making. Slowly, he earned his place back in the starting 11. Then, the big moment came. The youth team was set to play in a televised national showcase match. Scouts from pro clubs across the country would be watching. Before the game, each player was handed their kit, clean, crisp, with a professional logo stitched on the chest and their name across the back. When Jaden saw his name, Cooper, in bold black letters on that white jersey, he froze. He ran his hand over the fabric like it was made of gold. "Looks good on you," Levi said, smiling. Jaden nodded, eyes burning. "It's not just a jersey," he whispered. "It's the first step toward everything." And when he walked onto the pitch that day, under stadium lights, with cameras filming and crowds cheering, he felt it deep in his bones. This wasn't the end of the dream. It was the beginning of the reality. Chapter 6. The Offer. The national showcase match was fast, physical, and unforgiving. Jaden had butterflies when he stepped onto the field, but the moment the whistle blew, instinct took over. He played with everything he had. He pressed high. He tracked back. He threaded a pass through 3 defenders for the opening goal. His movements were fluid, confident, like he belonged. After the final whistle, the scoreboard showed a draw, but Jaden knew he had played his best game yet. The next morning, during breakfast, a team coordinator pulled him aside. "There's someone here to see you." In a glass conference room sat a man in a suit with a club badge on his lapel, from a Premier League team. Not just any team, but his team. The one he used to pretend to score for in the backyard. Jaden froze in the doorway. Jaden Cooper, the man stood and offered his hand. I'm with the academy at Everton. We've been following you since the regional trials. We're ready to offer you a place in our U18 squad. Jaden stared at him, stunned. For real? It's up to you, the man smiled. But I think you've earned it. He had no agent, no family manager, just raw effort, grit, and the dream. Coach Alvarez helped him read through the contract. His parents cried when he called them. That night, Jaden packed his things in silence, carefully folding his training kit and placing Mir's Lucky Charm in a safe pocket. As he zipped his bag, he whispered the same words he used to chant while kicking a ball alone. I will play in a stadium one day. Only now, it wasn't a hope. It was a plan. Chapter 7. The Debut. Life at Everton was different. Professional. Ruthless. Players came and went like the changing wind. Injuries ended dreams overnight. But Jaden held on. He trained harder than ever. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. And then, finally, the moment came. The senior team was short on players for a pre-season friendly. Jaden got the call-up. He would start on the bench, but he was in. A Premier League jersey. A seat in the dugout. A stadium crowd. He walked into the tunnel and looked up. The bright lights. The roar of the crowd. The grass so green it glowed. He had dreamed this exact scene 1,000 times. In the 72nd minute, the coach turned to him. Cooper, warm up. You're in. His legs felt like jelly as he stepped onto the pitch. Cameras followed. Fans chanted names around him, and now his was on the speakers too. The ball came to him within 30 seconds. 1 touch. 2. Then a perfect through ball to a striker, who scored. Jaden didn't score that day, but his assist was replayed on TV that night. And on a worn-out tablet in a small living room, MIA screamed loud enough to wake the neighbours. Chapter 8. 1 goal, many dreams. The years rolled on like match days on a fixture list. Training, matches, flights, and press interviews became Jaden's new rhythm. But no matter how far he travelled, from Manchester to Madrid, from pre-season tours in Asia to cup games under frozen floodlights, he never forgot that boy in the backyard with garden chairs for goalposts. Jaden Cooper had arrived. He wasn't the most famous name in football, nor the highest paid. He didn't have luxury cars lined up in his driveway or flashy endorsements with colognes he didn't wear. But he had what mattered most, a starting place in the Premier League, the respect of teammates, and the admiration of thousands of kids who saw in him what he once saw in his heroes, hope. His debut had opened doors. Over time, he earned more minutes, more starts. His style of play, smart, disciplined, selfless, made him a trusted figure on and off the pitch. Coaches praised his vision. Fans loved his humility. Commentators called him the quiet engine of the midfield. But beyond the game, Jaden wanted something more, to give others what no one had given him, a path forward. So, he started the Backyard Project. It began with a single camp in his hometown. Free training sessions for kids with big dreams and empty pockets. Volunteers, old friends, and even Coach Alvarez showed up. Word spread. The project grew. Former pros reached out. Sponsors came on board, not for branding, but because they believed in the mission. Within 2 years, 10 towns had their own backyard pitches. Humble spaces, yes, but filled with passion. And every single one had the same sign at the entrance. Where dreams are born, one kick at a time. J. Cooper. Jaden's parents still lived in the same house. His dad eventually retired from the garage. His mum spent her mornings tending to her garden, a gift from Jaden after his first contract renewal. The backyard was still there, though now the chairs had been replaced with real goalposts and the grass had been leveled. On his off days, Jaden would return. He'd slip out quietly, no media, no announcements, just him and the wind and the echo of his younger self. One day, after a long season, one filled with bruises, victories, and another near miss in the cup final, Jaden came home. It was late afternoon, golden hour. He stepped into the yard, now quiet, peaceful. In his hand was a new ball. He dropped it, took a step back, and shot, clean, low, through the posts. And just like that, time folded. He saw every version of himself, the little boy with scraped knees, the teenager battling doubt, the young man clutching a letter from Everton, the pro stepping onto the pitch for the first time. He sat down on the grass, closed his eyes, let the sun warm his face. Behind him, a small voice spoke. "Are you really Jaden Cooper?" He turned. A boy, maybe 8 years old, stood by the gate with wide eyes and scuffed shoes. Jaden smiled. "Yeah. You play?" The boy nodded, clutching his ball tight. "Well," Jaden said, standing up and dusting himself off, "a let's play." As they kicked the ball back and forth, laughter echoed across the yard. For a moment, it wasn't about contracts, leagues, or trophies. It was about joy, passion, the simple magic of a ball at your feet and a dream in your chest. And Jaden knew then, the goal had never just been to reach the top. The real dream was to help others believe they could, too.